Almighty and everlasting God, excuse me, who presides over all things in heaven and earth, come and preside over these deliberations so that those that make the decisions may be guided by your wisdom.
Good evening, Jim. I'll give this to you. Work session.
Okay. Thank you, Bill, Mr. Chairman, and council, and the public, administration. Welcome. On council's agenda, we have four items. Ordinances for second and final reading. Number one is file of council number 8 of 2020, an ordinance amending the rules and regulations of the Fire Civil Service Commission of the city of Wilkes-Barre. Next is file of council number 9 of 2020, an ordinance amending file of council number 1 of 1992, entitled an ordinance adopting council's rules and procedures as amended. That is matters to be placed on the agenda. Number 3 is file of council number 10 of 2020, an ordinance amending file of council number 1 of 1992, entitled an ordinance adopting council's rules and procedures as amended, and that is related to order of business. Number 4 is file of council number 11 of 2020, an ordinance of the council of the city of Wilkes-Barre, amending an ordinance of the council previously enacted on May 11th, 2017, that authorized the issuance of its general obligation bonds and or notes of the city in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $52 million pursuant to the Act of General Assembly of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, known as the Local Government Unit Debt Act, Act 53, PACS, Chapters 80-20, as amended to provide funds for and towards certain projects recited therein.
Questions on those?
Okay, Mayor, your agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. First is a resolution adopting Luzerne County 2020 Hazard Mitigation Plan as the official hazard mitigation plan of the city and directing the respective officials and agencies identified in the implementation strategy for implementation the recommended activities assigned to them. Secondly, an ordinance amending the Community Development Block Grant Consolidated Plan for programs for year 2020. Also, the proper city officials hereby authorized to take any and all necessary actions related to entering a lease agreement with Westgard Insurance Company for parking spaces in the intermodal parking garage. Also,
Mayor,
if you don't...
Mayor, excuse
Yeah.
me, just for everybody's edification, that's a new item, so it's not listed on the agenda, but it's the last item in the packet for the work session. Just wanted to point that out. Excuse me, thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome, Jim. Also, I just want to make note of a couple items. The next council meeting, I'll be coming before City Council asking for your approval for the purchase of body cams for our police department. We've identified a vendor for that, and we should be able to put together, for your approval, a resolution authorizing the purchase of the body cams, which I think is good news. We've been waiting for that for quite a while. Also, we're looking at holding an auction at the DPW yards October 17th. This will be property owned by the city that we no longer use. It'll be vehicles and all other properties that we decided to get rid of, to liquidate. So the tentative date is October 17th at the DPW yards. Also, I'd like to provide an update for you. We did say that when we rewrote some of our prior bonds, we went from a 4% interest rate to 2%, and the savings was $773,000. I'd like to provide an update. We did sell the bonds, and the new figure savings to the city is $816,000. So it's above the $773,000 that we anticipated, so it's an additional savings. The bonds were very well received by people that wanted to purchase them, so we were very happy with the outpouring of that. And also, I just learned that the Strauss Lane Bridge, the budget, am I right? The budget for that came in under budget, the quotes for repair of that, and it's the lowest bidder, came in actually under what we had budgeted for the repair replacement of that, Mike. So we're going to get the bridge done for you, but it's going to cost actually less than we had budgeted for that. So it's more good news. So just wanted to share those 4 points that I think are good, positive things for you to know tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Any questions for the mayor on those items?
Yeah, I have a question on the parking agreement. Are they renting all $699 or renting 100 or 300?
They're renting up to $699.
And what are they going to start off with? Just 100 first and then 200, or?
Whatever they notify us, like they can notify us, say, we want 80 initially, and then we want another 100. Yeah, they'll let us know when they want it.
So we're starting out with 300 renting. So we'll get upfront money for 300?
Whatever they take, they pay up front for the full term of the lease.
Oh, for everyone, great, okay. So we want them to take all $699.
Right.
Right, thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Belisco, anything for us this evening?
No, I was going to mention about the Strauss Lane Bridge. I thought the bids didn't have to be in yet till next Thursday. But they're in already?
No, the 24th,
They were due today.
Oh, they're due today.
yeah.
Okay. Joyce, if you will, keep me informed as you did with the Solomon Creek project. Let me know of any meetings. Maybe I can attend.
About the Strauss?
Pardon?
About the,
Strauss Lane Bridge.
oh, sure, absolutely.
I'm glad that's moving forward, Mayor. Thank you. It's much needed. That's all. Thank you.
Mr. Marconi.
Yes, Mayor, good to hear about the body cameras. That's certainly good news. Do you have a cost roughly on that yet, or not yet?
No, not the final cost yet,
Okay,
but we do have we have a means of paying for them that will not be affected by the budget. Okay, we have a grant that will be able to, actually, we have money allocated for that through another program. That this program will actually pay for the body cams and the warranties. So anything associated to this will be paid through this program that's identified. So it's not going to be something that the city has to outlay any monies from.
super. And then just one other thing, maybe Charlie, you can help me out with this. The corner of North Main Street and West Maple, there's a stop sign there, and it's temporary. I don't know, that's been there temporary for, I don't know, I'm going to say at least a year. Is there any way we could take a look at that? Hopefully we can get that permanent.
You know, John, if there are 1 or 2 on North Main, are they the ones with the construction when they were doing the hospital?
You're talking about the little theater.
Yeah, right near the little theater.
Yeah, I believe that the temporary time period is probably up, so we would either need to make it permanent or take it down, whatever the decision is.
And I would certainly recommend that we do make it permanent as well. Slow those cars down. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Brooks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank the mayor and Charlie for the fast action on 18 Sheldon Street. Hopefully on Monday, the owners will clean it up, and also the various properties on Prospect Street. Greg Griffith called me. Greg has cleaned up at various cleanups at City Cemetery, and he was inquired, is it a possibility of locking the gate at night at the cemetery? He's under the impression that it's constantly the same people dumping. They found a spot and they probably do it late at night. So that was a thought. There is a gate there. I just know it would.
We'll check it, problem probably is personnel.
Right.
Let me check. with
Sure.
Let me check.
Let us get back to you,
Yeah.
Mr. Brooks, okay? This is the first we heard of it, so
Yeah,
we'll
Greg just
check
called
into
me.
it for
No,
you.
I think it's an excellent idea. It might calm down on the illegal dumping. And then, is there any update on census? I know the federal census is going to end their counting at the end of this month. Do we have any update from them as of yet?
We actually partnered with Cole Creative,
Mhm.
and they put together a video. I don't know if you saw it.
I did.
It's on the Facebook, it's on our website, and it was very well received. So with that stimulation, and we're actually in the middle of going door to door now. I don't have a final number for you,
Okay.
but it has increased from what I heard since we released the video. And I'd like to shout out to Holly Pilcavage and
Mhm.
Christopher Jones. I mean, they were very, very helpful in volunteering their time in putting this video. By the way, it was free of charge.
Good.
So I thank them. And I know it's a big thing for me because it, I don't have to
Right.
spend the money. But it was very helpful and it got more of the message out. I've also offered that video to other municipalities that are having a hard time getting responses that we're getting. So it was well received, but it has moved up. I don't have an exact number for you, Tony,
No problem.
but we can make some phone calls if you like tomorrow. And
Sure,
try and fill you
or
in.
the next council meeting.
Next council,
No,
okay.
no problem. All right, no other questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The only thing I have, and it's, I know Butch can take a look at Austin Ave. I know it's not on your list. I don't believe it's on the radar right now, but it's starting to deteriorate in an area near Trethaway Street. There was a railroad crossing that crossed Austin Ave at one time, and that is just starting to come apart. I don't know if we can do something with it until we can, at some point in the future, take care of the rest of the street. But if you could, Butch, that'd be great. If you just take a look at it and see if there's anything we can do with that. And that is all that I have. Anything else from council? Take a break and we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Yeah, I'm too short. There we go. Microphone was way up here someplace.
Frank, I saw him moving.
But I was
I saw
afraid,
it move.
I was afraid to touch it though. I was gonna get yelled at if I touched the microphone. There's a little high there too.
I mean, how do you talk to somebody, you talk to that thing and they're right there.
Hold it, grab it.
It's almost like being ignorant.
Well, they can move the microphone, right? No? Okay.
Okay, please rise to the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty and everlasting God, who presides over all things in heaven and earth, come and preside over these deliberations so that those that make the decisions may be guided by your wisdom.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Roll call, please, Mr. Ryan.
Mr. Belusco.
Here.
Mr. Marconi.
Here.
Mrs. Gilbert McBride is excused. Mr. Brooks.
Here.
Mr. Barrett.
Here.
Also in attendance tonight is Mayor George C. Brown, Administrator Charles McCormick, Fire Chief Jay Delaney, Deputy Administrator Director of Operations Butch Frotty, City Attorney Tim Henry, IT Director Frank Hirschberger, Director of OCD Joyce Zakowski, Assistant City Clerk Catherine Payne, and Administrative Assistant Lisa Sanfilippo.
Thank you, sir.
We have no pending legislation emails. So we'll go to the public. Does anyone in attendance from the public wish to comment on any agenda items before council tonight?
See none?
No? Okay. Council will now take questions on agenda items from the public by phone. The phone line is now open. Agenda items only, 5 minutes per call, please. Okay. Before we go on with the voting, I just would like to say, as we always do when we have a combined session, asking council if there are no objections to combine the ordinances and resolutions into separate consent agendas to be voted on, if there are no objections, by unanimous consent. Okay, no objections, so they will be consent agendas, one for the resolutions and one for the ordinances. Thank you. Okay, so first is the resolutions, the consent agenda on the resolutions. Motion, second, and vote.
So moved.
Tony?
Second.
John? Mr. Belusko?
Yes.
Mr. Marconi?
Yes.
Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
And Mr. Barrett?
Yes.
Motion passes. And the consent agenda ordinances, motion, second, and vote.
On motion?
Mike Belusko, second.
Second.
Bill Barrett. Mr. Belusko,
Yes.
Mr. Marconi,
Yes.
Mr. Brooks,
Yes.
and Mr. Barrett.
Yes.
Motion passes also. And finally, we have the adoption of minutes, authorities, boards, or commissions. Motion, second, and vote.
So moved.
Mr. Brooks, second.
Second.
Mr. Marconi. Mr. Belusko,
Yes.
Mr. Marconi,
Yes.
Mr. Brooks,
Yes.
and Mr. Barrett.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ryan. We will go back into presentations by council members. Seems like we
No,
just
nothing
did
more.
this.
Nothing more.
Nothing in the last 5 minutes?
Now,
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Marconi?
Yes, I do. I just would like to thank Greg Griffin, Andy Gagaris, and Joan Kavanaugh for cleaning up the city cemetery on River Street. They did a wonderful job. They worked, I don't know, 5, 6 Saturdays, cleaning it up, cutting, trimming the grass, cleaning the headstones of the veterans and everyone in there. Also, they pulled out quite a bit of garbage. So I just want to thank them for that. It certainly did not happen overnight, what happened there. And I'm going to ask the mayor if he would keep the upkeep of this cemetery, please, if he can just take a look at that, and if we could just pay more attention to that. Also, I just want to touch base on police substations. I agree with the police substations. I think it's a great idea. I'm not so sure, though, in my district, District E, in the hospital, Mayor, I'm not so sure that's a good fit. It's not visible, it's not accessible, and again, I'm not too sure it's such a good fit. Maybe in the future, we can get together and set up a meeting to maybe discuss some other options if possible. That's all that I have right now, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Mr. Brooks?
Nothing else. Thank you.
Nothing else? And I as well, nothing else. Okay, public discussion. Angel Mathis, good evening.
Angel Mathis, Wilkes-Barre. The first thing that's on my list of topics is my concern about the fact that the governor's orders have been found to be unconstitutional. But my biggest issue is that although the colleges have certain rules on campus. Their students are starting to gather in groups off campus with off-campus parties. And with that, you know, my biggest concern is COVID-19. And because we're still in the first wave, we haven't seen the second wave, and that should be coming within the next month and a half to 2 months, according to my trade publications that I received. So what can be done to minimize the college students from gathering and partying to condense the spread of COVID-19? The second thing is the loitering and littering. I know earlier this year, I requested that there be a street light placed on Beaumont and Loeffler, because with me going to the drugstore at night, I realized that there are technically no street lights on Beaumont from North Main all the way down to Pennsylvania Avenue. And I know it's an issue that if it is approved, it's an issue for PP&L to come out and place it. However, in the meanwhile, I live next door to an abandoned building. And what I'm finding is people are either drinking at the abandoned building or drinking on the ledge of where my apartment is and leaving their alcoholic containers on the ground, where I do pick them up and put them in my recycle bins. But because there's no light there, it's not like I can look out the window and see that someone's there. And my last thing is the gutters. Where the drainage is, although we haven't had rain, you know, my anticipation is soon we may get rain and they are full of trash and recyclables.
That's at the same corner at on Beaumont?
Yes.
Beaumont, okay, Madison, Beaumont, Madison, in that area? Okay. Mayor, maybe you can answer. I don't know if we've been getting calls on large gatherings in the pandemic stages that we're in now. I know other municipalities have responded to those types of calls and have broken up large gatherings, but I don't know if we've had that or do we have a plan on how we would address that?
Okay, I'm sorry, it's kind of
Yes.
hard to hear you. What we have done is, some of the colleges have off-campus, and I think that's what you're talking about, Angel. You know, we've been communicating to the colleges about getting their help because that's their students, okay? I mean, if they're not breaking the law or not breaking CDC requirements, it's kind of tough for us to do. But the colleges actually have more leverage, you know, about some of the things that's going on, and we'll continue to do that. But
Okay,
I
the only
wanna-
reason why I'm concerned is because they have parties up to 4 o'clock in the morning.
Maybe what we'll do is, and this will address the 3 things that you were talking about, what I'd like to do is schedule a time that I could have one of my folks meet with you, actually walk your neighborhood, and I can't commit to what we can do, but I can say, let this person, one of our staff will walk with you, see what is more beneficial and possible as far as possibly additional streetlights. Let's do that. Let's set a plan up, okay? And then after that, we can talk and see what's feasible as far as what we can get installed for you. Believe me, we increased the fine for littering from $100 to $300. That was just done last month. So we're taking this seriously too about littering, and we want to control it as much as we can. But if you're okay with that, we'll schedule a time through my office. One of my staff can come meet you, and we can have you walk that area and actually make some recommendations. Then we'll take it back and we'll see what we can do. When I talk to Mr. Fratty, what's available, how can we do it? Because we also have to get the power company and, you know, other people involved. But I can at least make a commitment that we'll have someone try to work with you. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Angel, one thing. I know exactly where you're talking about, the drains there. They're filled with plastic. I know the city cleaned it up twice. January, maybe February, March. And then Greg Griffith and his crew, they also cleaned it up twice, and I can attest to it because I helped clean the one time. So I understand what you're saying. Hopefully, when you meet with the mayor, if it's okay with you, if I can attend that as well, we can come to, some kind of a, the solvency on this, because it just seems like people put their recyclables out a little earlier, and they blow around and they end up in the gutter, and then when it rains, it ends up in right in there in the sewer. So I just want to let you know I am aware of that too, but I just want to also just remind you that we did clean it up a few times, and hopefully we can come up with another solution. Thank you.
And that was identified, Angel, when Councilman Marconi and I took a ride through his district. We do have a new vacuum truck now that actually cleans out the drains, so we could also identify that to be cleaned more periodically. That'll help. I mean, we'll do whatever we can, to try and clear up that situation. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that is the only one that I have here, Jim.
Yes,
this evening.
general business emails, we only have 3, as the chairman mentioned. You'd like me to read them, Chairman?
Yes, sir, please.
Okay. First one is, states, dear members of Wilkes-Barre City Council, Kirby and Nesbitt Parks combined are one of the greatest outdoor recreation areas in all northeastern Pennsylvania. They provide unmatched natural beauty, sports facilities, picnic areas, trails, playgrounds, and lots of great open space for not only the citizens of the city of Wilkes-Barre, but all the residents of greater Wyoming Valley. I regularly ride my bike along the Levee Trail through the parks, play an occasional round of disc golf on the Nesbitt Park course, and often walk and picnic in Kirby. These parks were well planned and designed to highlight the natural beauty of the surrounding area. Trees and landscaping were all specifically chosen for their ability to enhance the park's look and feel. Although these parks are well maintained, many of the trees planted when the parks first opened are getting old and must be removed. It has been my observation that the trees being removed are not being replaced with anything to help maintain the aesthetics of the park. I know budget restraints make it challenging to address every concern presented to council, but I believe a little can go a long way in this situation. Planting just a few new trees each year would be a relatively small cost if this is done consistently for the next few years. I would imagine there are a variety of civic groups that may be interested in helping raise funds and provide support in the effort. The Nature Conservancy, Northeast Audubon Society, PA Sierra Club, and the Boy Scouts are just a few groups that may be able to assist. It is important to maintain and improve the beauty and ecology of these majestic parks as an asset to our community. I respectfully request that Wilkes-Barre City Council consider putting resources into having new trees planted in Kirby and Nesbitt parks to replace the many trees that have been removed over the last few years. Thank you for your time. Sincerely, Kenneth J. Weiss.
Hey, Ryan, can we see that the tree commission gets a copy of this, the members of the tree commission?
Sure.
If that's possible, would we be able to do that?
Yep, will do.
Thank you, sir. Any comments, council members?
Okay, next, the next letter is, Dear Wilkes-Barre City Council members, please support the formation of a Citizens Police Review Board. What the city needs is transparency from the police department. The Citizens Police Review Board is the only way to build a trusting relationship between the public, between the police department and the people of the city. The Police Review Board is not, in capitals, an attack on the Wilkes-Barre Police Department. Rather, it is a resource that will make sure all people in this city feel safe. The truth of the matter is there is a problem with policing in Wilkes-Barre. Many people have experienced injustices right here in this city. Now more than ever, we need action. Please vote in favor of the Citizens Review Board ordinance when it is up for vote again. You owe it to the people who put you in your position. And that's from Honesty Lopez. This email was originally forwarded to council, and Kathy just happened to notice it recently. She feels that it was not read into the record yet, so we did want to put that into the record today.
Comments?
And the last one is, hi, my name is Kathy Wolf, and I am a resident of Wilkes-Barre. I'm writing in support of Mayor Brown's Citizen Advisory Committee versus the Civilian Review Board that was voted down. I believe the advisory committee would further improve and enhance the community relations with our police department, which already does a tremendous job of being involved in the community with their programs and community policing efforts. Our police department is very responsive to the community and does not need an untrained special interest group interfering with processes that are already in place. The Civilian Review Board, as proposed, would only serve to inhibit how they now protect and serve the community, let alone the costly labor issues that would quickly follow. Please allow our police officers to not have to be concerned about facing a Citizens Review Board with subpoena powers and the ability to recommend discipline whenever they agree with the decision of an officer who is working to keep us safe. That's from Bentley Dexter.
Comments from council?
It was emailed from Bentley Dexter, excuse me. It was Kathy Wolf was the one who wrote it. And that was the last one.
Okay, you'll open your line for, it is open, please.
Okay, we have someone on the line.
Please state and spell your name and where you're calling from.
Hi, my name is Jason Carr from Saylorsburg, Pennsylvania. I just have a couple questions. I missed the public comment on the agenda items, but I was just wondering when was I guess first of all, when was the public meeting for the hazard mitigation plan for 2020? When did Wilkes-Barre conduct have the public meeting for the hazard mitigation plan for 2020? Mr. Chairman, as well, I participated in the Luzerne County Flood Protection Authority meeting last week, and it was said that the city of Wilkes-Barre's DPW was going to provide work for the Luzerne County Flood Protection Authority regarding the removal of shrubs and trees around certain areas on East Ross Street. And I was just wondering, why would the city be doing that if they struggle to provide basic services within the city itself already? Why wouldn't the Luzerne County Flood Protection Authority go out and do an RFP for those services? So how is the city, if the city is going to provide those services, how is the city going to be reimbursed? Looking at it, there's been several articles now in the paper. I guess the mayor, Mr. Chairman, is trying to prepare the public for a property tax increase. And I was wondering if we know the mayor still doesn't have a final number. That's a little concerning. But does the mayor have a plan to reduce the budget deficit? What is the plan that the mayor has as to not have to burden the residents of Wilkes-Barre with another property tax increase? A couple other questions, if the mayor is capable of answering them. One would be, will the mayor be paying bonuses to any employees of the city of Wilkes-Barre, either this year or next year, for early retirement, knowing that next year, if people don't bail out of the city employment, they lose their lifetime health care benefits. So I'm anticipating that happening. And I was wondering if the mayor could confirm or deny that. And then secondly, my last question, why did the mayor mislead the public about the pension board meeting date and time? On the city website, it has listed that the next meeting date was Tuesday, November 10th, 2020, even though there was a meeting held yesterday morning. I understand that it was advertised, but can the people of Wilkes-Barre, can the citizens of Wilkes-Barre, can the taxpayers of Wilkes-Barre, Mr. Chairman, rely on information that is posted on the city website? Thank you so much for letting me talk tonight. Have a good night.
You too, sir. Chief, I know that you know more about the hazard mitigation plan than probably anybody else in the room here. As far as the public meeting question, maybe you can address that.
Sure, Mr. Chairman. This is the Luzerne County Hazard Mitigation Plan. It's 338 pages long. It's a very public document. The website or the web link is on Luzerne County's site. For the last 2 years, representatives from all 76 municipalities in the county have met to go over this plan. Keep in mind, the goal is to reduce property damage, save lives from natural and man-made disasters, also to try and eliminate risk and identify goals and cost-effective hazard mitigation efforts. Basically, representatives of the city were myself and Planning and Zoning Director Bill Harris. All of the public meetings are listed in this document for anyone who would like to look at them. There's 18 hazard types listed in the plan: high, moderate, and low. Some of the things we discuss: flooding, winter storms, drought, hurricane, opioid addiction, levee failure, tornadoes. A couple historic references listed in here. Back in June 26th of 2006, there was actually $110 million worth of damage in Luzerne County due to flooding. We forget about right back in 2011, September of 2011, there were $45 million worth of damage due to the Susquehanna River at a historic level of 42.66 feet. In Luzerne County, there's 18 miles of levees, as we know. 16 are owned by the Luzerne County Flood Protection Authority, and 2 are municipally owned, and we have some of our own levees that we take care of. The last plan was in 2014. There's 191 mitigation plans listed from multiple municipalities throughout Luzerne County in this plan. And I'd just like to just jot one last thing about why this is critical and why it's important for council to consider passing this. Luzerne County asked me, as the emergency management coordinator for the city of Wilkes-Barre last week via email, if I would come with resolution to ask council to pass this. I briefed the mayor and the city administrator this past week. And here's the meat of why this is important. It should be noted that future funding for mitigation projects will be contingent upon the city of Wilkes-Barre adopting the 2020 Luzerne County Hazard Mitigation Plan update. Failure to adopt the plan would make the city of Wilkes-Barre ineligible for pre- and post-disaster mitigation funding. So there's an awful lot of work for the last 2 years that went into this. It's a very public document, and what I will do my best, council members, I will send you the link tomorrow. It's a great document. There's a lot of information in here, but I would be willing to answer any questions if you had them.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you for all the work that you do keeping us safe through the hazard mitigation plan. We certainly appreciate it. I know it's not an easy task, and I understand the county is voting on this shortly, or is coming up before them for their part.
They are, but every one of the 76 municipalities in Luzerne County are going to have to adopt this if they want to be part of it.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Mayor, there are a couple of questions that came up from Mr. Carr a few minutes ago about tax increases and bonuses. I don't know if you wanted to address any of that at this time, or should you decide not to.
Yeah, sure I will. I don't know where Mr. Carr gets his information. Just like last council meeting, he thought that there was something wrong with the funding for Solomon Creek Wall, and it was turned out that there was nothing wrong with that, but for some reason he felt there was. A detailed explanation was printed in the news media showing there was nothing wrong, but yet he claimed there was. Now he's asking me about bonuses, and which we never had a conversation on. Also, looking at tax increases. We haven't even looked at sitting down yet to formulate our new budget. I don't know what's in the budget yet because we haven't sat down yet, where Mr. Carr is already talking about possible tax increases. So these are unfounded questions that I'm getting here. I just think that in response to the last question about yesterday's meeting, that meeting notice was posted in both Wilkes-Barre papers, the Citizens Voice and the Times Leader. So if Mr. Carr would have bought in one of those two papers, he would have saw that yesterday's meeting was publicized in advance. So I suggest buying a Wilkes-Barre paper and you'll get more information. That way you won't be missing a meeting that you could have been at. That's the best way I can answer, Mr. Barrett.
Thank you, sir, appreciate it. Council members, any comment? Okay. Can you tell, are there any pending calls? No calls? Okay, anything else from council members? Nope. No? We'll wait a minute or two. Let's give this 2 minutes, see if there are any more calls coming in. And okay, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we
And
are
also, council, if you, as last meeting, if you'd please stay in your seats to sign resolutions and ordinances, please. Thank you very much.